There seems to be an awful lot of sad stories in the news today, and there are thousands missing. Does anybody care? We built a channel where we talk about those faces. Talking News with Debbie. Cassie Barron's has still not been found, and it's been 2 years since her case first hit the spotlight. Reggae, Chattanooga, and Vallow Valley both behind bars. Sarah Galloway was found. She wasn't found alive. What happened to Sarah Galloway?
It's too heartbreaking to share.
Children are still missing. Children like Dorsey, you're in shame. You just got away with it. Welcome to Talking News, Hello everyone. My name is Debbie. We use big stories to push little faces.
Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder Talking News. Before we get started, do you mind to check out that button up there? It says subscribe. Hit it right now so you don't forget. That way you get also some most recommended videos that are more on topic of what we upload. Also, don't forget to like, and just to mention, I do have a Patreon on the very top right hand corner of my channel. So glad to have you all here. Now guys, I've been struggling to get this going, and Life Beyond the Grave, part 44. Wow, guys, to be honest with you, that's not even a quarter of it, so I'm gonna have to cut it down. The purpose of this series is to help people understand how it got to this crazy place. Now, part 44, we're going to start talking about 2015. There's going to be a lot in 2015, and a lot of it is based on what is called the blood moon. I'm finding out that a lot of people have not heard about this blood moon. Anyways, what is it? Is where the sun and the earth and the moon align so perfectly that the earth actually casts its shadow, which is a red rustic shade, on the moon, referred to as the lunar eclipse. To most people, this is part of nature's glory, but to a few people it has brought forth signs of things to come. These things are depending on a group or a person's understanding or concepts of this blood moon. Many people who are Christians believe that the blood moon is a sign of end days or warnings there is apocalypse on the rise. Certain groups of the Jews believe that this is a sign that the Messiah is to come soon. I can give you thousands or more of what the blood moon represents according to, different groups, etc., and so on. But I'm just going to give you a few. So in the past, the Incans or the Mesopotamians believed that this lunar eclipse was an omen warning of death or an overthrow of a king. Now, those of you that are new to this, I'll get tongue twisted, and I basically record live. I will not edit unless it's something serious. So, another group of people, the Native Indians of the Americas, think that the blood moon was saying that the moon needed care. And in modern times, 2013, the media actually started portraying this event brought forth spiritual meaning, and these stories were quite popular. And let me tell you, they were a little bit different depending on who's writing the articles, but they did kind of instill fear. So this event that the media is covering is attached to a lot of Christian preachers and the Mormon doomsdayers. In 2013, they start talking about this blood moon that is going to approach in 2015, and that it had a special or other astronomical workings within it. And we'll talk more about that shortly. But they believe that this blood moon is attached to a series of prophecies or those end days prophecies in the Bible. And what kind of people are drawing to these articles? Well, curiosity, people who are just interested in, these stories, or message seekers. And of course, journalists who have the interest in writing these spectacular media articles that predict prophecies of end days. So here's the thing. 2015 would not display 1, 2, or 3 blood moons, but a tetrad, 4 consecutive lunar eclipses. Interestingly, this red colored moon is mentioned in the Bible many times and connected with the Lord's coming. Sadly, I don't have time to cover all of that in this video, but here's a snippet. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verses 11 through 13, the blood moon may be one of the signs of the second coming attached to the sixth seal, which is another subject. Just a quick note, there are 7 seals that need to be opened before this doomsday approaches, or the second coming of Jesus Christ. And a passage from Revelation reads, quote, "And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, them was a great earthquake. The sun became black as a sackcloth of hair, and the moon became of blood." End quote. Now, a few years back, in 2008, there is a man by the name of Mark Biltz who predicted that the second coming of Jesus Christ, and the year of his coming would be this year of 2015. This is attached to Lori Vallow case still, guys. Don't think that we're not talking about that. And right now we're in the 2015 timeline. Anyways, this guy claimed that he had discovered an astronomical pattern that predicted the next tetrad in 2015 would coincide with end times. Another name that was popular during this time was Haggai, who was another one who basically wrote a book about similar predictions, and actually it was one of the best seller books. So going all the way back to 2008, we're finding out that people are making money off the end day fear mongering, some more than others. And this is actually spreading like a plague on both the Christian and the Mormon side, but Mormons seem to have a lot more focused on the blood moons and the prophecies attached to the blood moons than some of the Christianity. So here's the problem. Smaller names attached to the LDS, such as Julie Rowe, Chad Daybell, Hector Sosa, Roger Young, Spencer, Christopher Parrott, David Warwick, Suzanne Friedman, seem to actually follow the lead of those starlight type propheters. Now, I'm not here to down anyone. We're just kind of going over where this might have started. So people reading these books are very faithful Christians, mostly looking for signs of the Lord's return, or are afraid and want to prepare so that they and their loved ones are safe. And some Christians will get offended if I mention Mormon as Christian, but for me, they're all do accept Jesus Christ as their Savior, so I'm going to refer to them as Christians at times. Anyways, those who want to prepare and keep them and their loved ones safe by being prepared are known as preppers, end day support people, doomsdayers. Now, something I want to mention here is there are different levels of preppers. Not necessarily all of them are like Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, and the rest of this group. There's nothing wrong with being prepared for if your electricity goes out, you have a blizzard, these kinds of things, because this is something the Mormons teach, is where you be prepared and not get into financial debt. So when I'm talking on this subject and looking at the negative sides, it's the people like Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, who are extremists, who make up their own ideas of what's happening when the blood moon approaches, and have actually given dates of end days. Lori Vallow in 2015 is one of the people following mostly the LDS authors, podcasters, prepper groups, and she seems, based on my research, because I haven't spoken to Lori personally, she seems to believe in all these prophets and warnings of destruction and mayhem. Something you need to understand about Lori Vallow, something I've mentioned in older videos, is that she is a very competitive soul. She does make targets and goals, and she reaches those goals. My opinion is, in 2015, she believes that the end days are approaching. She sees all these authors gaining popularity, and her goal is to get in with some of these top people. That way that she can, be in with the elite group or team, so that she is safe. It'll be a few years later that she wants to become a leader herself. And I know I'm mentioning Lori Vallow's name here. She isn't alone. There's Chad Daybell, Hector Solset, David Warwick, are all sharing visions of war, chaos, destruction, and the downfall of the U.S. While people like Julie Rowe portray that they are elite, chosen messengers of angels and sometimes God himself, that are sent to warn mankind of their imminent doom. A little bit different than some of the others, right? But still, there's one thing that they all have in common, and it is time to gather to select cities, states deemed safe. And there are mentions of building tent cities. Also, not just the cities, but to increase your storage. Again, storage is one of the more important goals for a prepper. Now let's jump back to this guy. It goes by the name of Bits. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it's spelled Biltz. If you are a person that's out there seeking for signs of end days, this guy is quite convincing. He claims that every prior tetrad of the last 500 years coincided with tragic events that were also followed by triumph. And this story was actually covered by a lady by the name of Penelope Cook, Cooke, and it is in the U.S. Sun. So let's talk about this super tetrad event. After all, it seems to be taking over the community of the preppers. It's one of the main subjects in the LDS forums, blogger pages, and they are filled with predictions, conspiracy, and a lot of questions on this topic. A few of those websites are actually another voice of warning, which I refer to as AVAL, the LDS Freedom Forum. And guys, there are a lot more. The one thing about these Mormon forums and websites is they make it very difficult for an outsider to take part in these forums and stuff, with somewhat good reason. But anyways, let's get back on topic. So you have these websites. The preppers are talking about this blood moon approaching. And the one thing about the tetrad is every 6 months there are some sort of lunar eclipse, guys. They say that the tetrads are events that are rare, but I don't know about that, but they do have interesting cycles. So cycles of about 600 years or so, So 300 years, there may be no tetrads at all. And then the next 300 years, they can occur every 15 years. And 2015 is one of the years that this tetrad's going to actually show itself. And it won't be shown again until, well, it's predicted to be 2032 to 2033. In fact, the year of 2022 is almost a tetrad. We will have, well, we had the lunar eclipse November 19th of 2021, then May 26th of 2021, then May 16th, which just passed, of 2022. So these events are also referred to as the super tetrads. Though there were some conspiracy theories as to signs from the stars, especially the blood moon that just come and go, it wasn't as bad as 2015. Now I'm kind of getting out too far of where I want it to be, because 2015 we are supposed to be working on how Lori, well, this case got to where it is today. So we learn in 2015 Lori is with this group of people who are a little more serious in preparing for end times and the second coming of Jesus Christ. And there are many people attached to the LDS who claim that they are God's special messengers. They spend a lot of time on these websites like Vallow. So you have Chad Daybell, Julie Rowe, Christopher Parrott. They all give their testimonies on this website. And Christopher Parrott, at this time, is now one of the new owner of the Vallow site. Right before 2015 rolled along, a post about a book shows up in one of these forums. I think it's the Vallow, and the book is called The LDS Preparedness Manual in Dream Visions and Testimonies 2. It's actually a spin-off or twin from a book by the original Vallow owner, Roger K. Young, called Dreams and Visions. So this is another source that I found teaching LDS preppers about tent city awareness and these types of concepts. His purpose is actually to gain more followers for a living prophet. That's what he says. And Roger actually recommends that all LDS members get their temple recommends and use them often. He also suggests that LDS members gather enough food and supplies, shelter, etc. for at least 1 year. Now, a lot of these preppers, some of their favorite living prophets or presidents of the church was Hinckley, which was also pushing, being prepared. So all this together, I believe, in 2015 actually created a lot of fear among the religious groups, especially the Mormons. And one of the top names coming out around this time, like I mentioned before, is Julie Rowe, which is a woman, a mother, a wife, who wrote a book on her near-death experience. And around, actually, February 23rd of 2015, I want to mention this so I don't forget, Julie Rowe shows up on the Ray Lambert show, which talks about her near-death experience and the blood moon. Well, Julie is actually following the LDS doctrines. She's actually getting into this health code healing, and that's actually starting to kind of take over a lot of places. The LDS doctrine would actually prevail. So she has this foreign idea actually coming in and taking over a lot of her LDS. How do I put this, guys? I don't want to say it the wrong way. Understanding. Her main warning is that there's going to be a war on the U.S. and we are going to face difficult times. And as the full moon, the lunar eclipse approaches, she begins to get more and more outspoken about her ideas. Now let's share an interesting fact is that she is one of the main people Lori will listen to that actually pushes multiple lives or agency. So keep that in the back of your mind. I'm having to hop around like crazy because I have so much information. I can't share it all with you guys. I'm having to pick and choose and put it in here. So one thing I am going to throw in here is one of the things about the blood moon or the Tetra. There's some interesting events that happen. In 1492, that's the year that there was a Tetra event. The Jewish people actually were kicked out of Spain. In 1948, another Tetra event, Israel became a state. In 1967, Jerusalem is reunited with Israel. So this is a lot of stuff that many of the very faithful are reading. And so, I mean, these are great signs if you think about it. So maybe it's not so hard to be convinced when you're so faithful. One thing I need to remind you of is the Mormon religion, they believe in Jesus Christ. A lot of people think that they don't. And Jesus Christ didn't just walk in the Middle East, he walked on the continent of the USA. So a lot of this doctrine and predictions are actually based on Jesus Christ's second coming. So in the year 2015, we know that there is a blood moon tetrad, and it will show 4 consecutive total lunar eclipses. And people who actually study Christian and Jewish religion understand that a lot of these things kind of fall on Jewish feast days. And really, there's only 8 tetrads recorded throughout history, at least up until today. If you're interested to hear more on, signs of the blood moon, you can visit a place I found. It's called Firebrand, the Blood Moon Tetrads. They have incredible information for those of you that are interested in this kind of stuff, but it may be a little more conservative, not really in the middle, guys. But you got to not care about that kind of stuff. Just take the important information that you're looking for and don't worry about the rest. We have so many things that go on throughout human history. So a lot of them are gonna be very suspicious if you try to team it up with something else that happened in that time. Not saying I don't believe in any of this. I am a knowledgeable skeptic. So now we have Chad Daybell, who's using the signs of the blood moon himself. Julie Rowe, especially, to send out warnings that there are, earthquakes about to hit, wars, and we better be ready. Now remember, there are several witnesses attached to this case that say that they do witness Lori later on being very worried about the end days. Could you imagine living in a life where you feel like you need to prepare and that you have this timeline that you have to fill in before it reaches a certain point? Her days are spent looking for messages and signs where she's going to prepare for the second coming of Jesus Christ. And she's having to worry if she's going to be one of the elite or one of the ones that will perish with thousands of others. Something you must understand about Lori Vallow before we go forward is she'll look up doctrine, refer to canon as her reasons for anything she does in her life. And if she can find a passage that will fit her needs, to put it simply, she's going to use it. After all, God said, this is what you do, and you're allowed to do this if this is done unto you. So does she truly believe that what she's doing is righteous and good? Though what she's doing is very devastating to someone. For instance, Joseph Ryan, who has been tasered, and supposedly they had planned to actually take him down. So a lot of people are trying to figure out, is she just crazy and believes all this stuff, or is she just a manipulator? I believe that her narcissist ways are her leading factor for whatever she decides in her life. I really can't find those family values you look for or find in a family that's truly connected with that love bond, where you do things for each other out of their best interest, not just yours. Everything was about looking better and brighter for Lori. This includes her children. You look a certain way, you act a certain way, and this is not for God. God could care less whether your hair was frosted or not. He could care less how much money you have and how much you give to your family and religious associates. He could care less if you are considered a prophet or just a woman raising her children, a man going to work to feed his family. But Lori believes that there are certain ladders and steps you have to climb in order to be close to God or Jesus. And according to my research, she uses Charles Vallow's money that he brings into the home as a way to work herself into certain places she wants to be. And at times I found that she really has no concept of money. Somehow, I don't know how, she's made it through life without ever struggling. She doesn't struggle very long at all, if she has. And so I think it's important that you understand that she really doesn't understand what it is to be the person, not putting this down in any way, because I've been a stay-at-home mom many years. She has no understanding of what it is to be able to support herself in a lifestyle that she's living when she's married to Charles Vallow. Now, something I want to mention before I forget, and it's going to change topics, which I'm going to do a lot here because I'm trying to cram. I'm not even covering my timeline right now. I'm just covering things I think you should understand about Lori and the blood moon before we start covering the timeline again. Remember, Lori's entire family is Mormon. I'm not able to get a lot of information on the mother, the father, and the siblings. Not that much, because they're good at keeping things quiet and communicating to the people they do know. If you talk, we will exclude you from our elite group. So you need to understand, this is probably where Lori learns to use this manipulation tactic to exclude people. If you don't do what she wants you to do or say what she wants you to say. She's very controlling, I'm learning, and she's very gutsy. She will push her way in when she decides she wants to go to a certain area. But I think she has trouble moving up the LDS ladder. She really does. And this is maybe why she seeks out people like Chad Daybell, Melanie Gibb, who are connected to a media source that ends up preparing the people. So 2015, we're learning that one of the biggest talks for the preppers is this 4 lunar eclipses approaching. Now, I wanted to let you guys know that I did find where bloggers were talking about 10 cities back in 2010. You hear them talking about the beliefs that there's only a few select people who be living in these tent cities. So we got to figure out, where did Lori get this idea that the Church of the Firstborn that they were building is only select people? There's a lot of talk about where the church is secretly building girls' camps in the mountains. There's beliefs that when the government falls, they will come out of the mountains and rescue the Constitution. Loads of conspiracy theories, a lot attached to 9/11, and that it was a government job, that Bush knew about it. All the way back in 2010, they're getting these warnings that transportation will be disrupted, cities will be cut off and destroyed. They're referring to Nephi for a lot of this stuff. And I think they say that there's 3 verses in Nephi, 5 in Mecca, that speak about the tent city ideas. One of the reference is Nephi 20:42. 12, and all my people who are remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles. Yeah, in the midst of them is a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of the sheep, who, if he go through both, treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. Their hand shall be lifted up upon their adversaries, and that all their enemies shall be cut off. Okay, another reference to the tent cities. And I will cut off the cities of thy land and throw down all my strongholds. And then you start seeing a lot of drama on these forums and a lot of people blogging about very sensitive issues. I think I'll have to shut it down here. We've already gone 30 minutes. Not really going on the timeline. And we will start with the drama that's firing up within the LDS community. Guys, don't forget about some of our girls that continue to be missing, especially Dulce, Jasmine Robinson. These 2, I feel we need to fight harder. Take time out of your day, today, to share their face on your social media. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and also you can see my Patreon on my channel on the right hand corner at the top. Love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.